Hello and welcome to another watercolour demonstration. We've got our sketch done here. This is of Hunstanton. It's the Red Cliffs along the coast and West Norfolk coast. The tide has gone out. We've got the sea here. Obviously we've got the cliffs here. Along the top we've got some greenery on there. This is a kind of chalky white. This is a kind of orangey red. And we'll just get straight into it, shall we? I'm going to start out with a nice blue sky. Just get that straight in, no messing. Coming lighter as we come down. All the way to the horizon. Now the horizon has been done with a ruler. I don't use a ruler very often, but I do on horizons where there's sea involved. So you can see the ruler mark there. So there's a little tip for you if you want to get a straight horizon. Just pop in a ruler mark. So we're going to pop in this beach. This beach is kind of, there's really not a beach here. This is where the tide has gone out and it gets quite sort of dark here. So we're going to use this very light mixture of just concentrating on that. Yeah, very light mixture of burnt umber. Pop that in there. Now the underpinning colour that we have here, we're going for a raw sienna. Just pop that in carefully around those figures. And we'll just have this as an underpainting here. This comes in here as well. All the way in here, a bit stronger. Kind of merges in there. Now this rock, it's lots of rocks that have fallen. We're going to have a similar kind of colour here. We're going to keep it very light and pale. I have to take some of that in a second. And the underpainting colour, this is quite an interesting kind of orangey red on this part of these cliffs. So I just need to be careful on here. So just pop that in. And here's very pale in this section. So we've got 1, the curve, 2, the bottom of the rock, 3, the main part, 4, and then on the top there. It's obviously not dry enough. I paint into that, we'll get that bleeding in, so we're gonna wait before we come into that bit. But that's the initial underpainting. It's the same with here with the sky. I want to get a quite crisp sea in there, so we'll do that in a second. So we'll move on to step 2 when this is dry. Before we do, I just want to pop in some of this very watery burnt umber, because some of the marks that are on this cliff we can pop in now and keep them quite blurry. Just let them blend and bleed in. It's the ideal time to do this. And that will do. So we can move into our next stage and pop in the sea. I'm going to make this quite considerably darker. I've gone for some ultramarine. Just need to be careful to paint up as close as we can. To the horizon. And I'm going to keep this really simple because it's so far in terms of distance. Just going to keep it that simple. There are a couple of little rock pools or little parts of water just left in there, so we'll pop those in while we're doing that. So this is dry enough to work on with our green. The cliffs up there. There's a whole bunch of mixtures there just to get the right mixture and tone. You can see there I've had raw sienna. There was a little bit of the burnt umber in there. We've got ultramarine there, French ultramarine, and I've just added some of this cadmium yellow. So I'm just going to pop this in. These cliff tops, they get lots of seagulls. I haven't got any seagulls in here. I might pop a couple in. Probably just about it. Keep it nice and simple. There is a darker tone just here. So we'll just blur that in and let it do its own thing. And along the top here as well. Not all the way along, but there we go. Now there's a kind of grey mixture we're going to need to sort out here. So I'll take a touch of Payne's grey, a touch of this blue as well, but it needs to be fairly weak. I'm painting with a number 6 round brush at the moment. I'm just going to come down like this, just take some of that moisture off, but come down, and it's in this rock part here. Okay, it's working out quite nice. It's just rolling the brush around, look, just to get that little effect, and just make it a little bit darker in places. Especially here, it kind of merges. There we go. That'll do, that's enough. Similar kind of thing here, but this hasn't dried properly yet. So I'm going to take some of this out with a little bit of, because this is quite light. This is the Rockfall, remember? This tissue, it's just here. That's the Rockfall from all the rocks. That'll do. Just take this chunk out here, not happy with that. It's easy to work up darker than it is to try and do the opposite. And here as well, we have a similar kind of effect going on. So I'll pop in some of that. There's also a few little dark dots of rocks. And on this beach, there's all kinds of rocks on here, so we'll just suggest a few of those. The whole idea with this, if you want to use perspective to your advantage, is as you go back, just get a little bit smaller. That's the rock size I'm talking about. Whoops, something falling off the shelf. I opened the window in here because it's incredibly warm today in August. Okay. foreground, push everything else back. So just some shadows, which we're gonna need to pop in anyway on these figures. Okay. Not too keen on the amount here, so we'll just dye this back a little bit. Just take that out roughly. And we're going to need to wait for this to dry a touch. So let's get stuck into the next part. Just testing with the back of my finger, this is dry. It's taken a long time to dry today, but we can work on the figures here, and we'll pop in some of their heads to start with, even though they could actually be left in pencil. Probably won't bother too much with those in a distance there. Think ovals when you're thinking heads, don't make them all straight. Make them a little bit one to the side. That doesn't work, so we'll take that out. Let's leave that there. There's also kind of pole or post up on the top here. Just pop that in as well. And we also have some darker notes in here. And there's some of that bleed and blend in as well. It's quite nice. The darker notes. I'm just going to need to just blend out some of that. It's quite nice that it's still a little bit damp. And the edge of this cliff, we just want to pop that in. Got some shadows and things in here, some Rockfall. Put in a bit of yellow as well, just to vary this yellow and just keep creating a kind of orangey mixture here. They're called the red cliffs. They kind of do shine up red in certain days and certain times of the year with the right light on there. It's just a bit of clear water to blend in some of these shapes. And I'll pop in a few scratch marks as well. I'll go a bit darker on here in terms of the grey. Now gone to a number 2 brush here. That's probably too dark. Let's try it. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay. And I just need to establish coming round here. More things falling off the windowsill. A few more rocks in that. Okay, it's working a bit better. It's just looking really carefully, squinting your eyes up to try and get the right kind of tonal values going to keep these guys on the beach really simple. Blues. A red there. Pop in some legs. And again here, the slightly bigger characters here, a bit closer. These ones are further away, so we don't need to worry at all about details. And these ones are so far away. Just leave them there. There we go. I'm not happy about this one over here. It seems to be doing weird things. I think it's still damp underneath. Just need a much stronger mixture. There's a lot of liquid in there. Okay, thinking about shadows, so we're going to need to let this dry before we bring in the shadows. So it's shadow time. Thinking about some shadow colours, we'll mix up enough. Pop in some clear water in there, take some French ultramarine, some of this crimson. Do the same here. One darker tonally, bluer as well. Pop that back in there for the moment. This is number 2 brush. Think about where we're going to put these shadows. Warm shadows at the front, darker shadows at the back. Okay. Obviously on the figures, I'm going to pop in a few in here. A few back here. On this cliff, a few in here. A few on these rocks. The light is coming from this left-hand side across. So most of the shadows are going to come across onto that side. Let's just pop in these figure shadows. Don't need to be too fussy with them. Just mix up a little bit with some of this bluer mixture. Kind of done. I do want to drop in some along here because we had some distant bits going on there, and just to mix it up a little bit, really. There we go. Obviously there will be shadows kind of coming off of these. Last little trick, we're going to just pop a shadow across this foreground as well. Just mix all this up. Just pushes stuff back really. And that'll do, finished with there. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that. We'll take off the tape and have a look and see what we've got underneath. Trying to simplify complicated subjects, because even though it's just some cliffs and the sea, the sand, a few figures, it's quite complicated to get the values right. And the more you look, the more you see. And it's like, should I put this in? Should I put that in? What should I leave out? They're the key things that we should be thinking about. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So remember to like, to subscribe. Well over 90% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so remember, subscribe. Very, very close now. I think only 6 away from that magical 1,000 number. So please subscribe and ring the notification bell, and take care and happy painting.